Hello, welcome to episode. I don't even know what episode I'm on. 60 something, 70 something? I'm going to guess 74, 64. Anyway, welcome to another new episode of the Fisher Fitness Coaching Podcast. It's been a while, I know. I don't know really. I've got no excuses. It's just, things happen. I run out of things to talk about. I think a lot of it is, when I don't know if you've actually done a podcast, but it's kind of weird. It's quite hard just sort of talking to no one. Like I'm just sitting here in my office talking to a screen, essentially, talking to a camera. And it's kind of weird. And so I guess I just sort of needed a break from it, I suppose. Doing one every week for over a year. It's kind of a big deal. I don't know. For me anyway. Um and yeah, I think I just run out of things to talk about. I guess like that sometimes, especially with like content creation, begin to lose inspiration a little bit. The listeners start to dwindle. So it's kind of like, why? I don't know. For me personally, I kind of think, why am I doing it? But, there are a few people who still listen, so that's cool. So if you are listening to this, thank you. I do appreciate it. You are the reason why I am talking right now. Anyway, this episode came from a post I read actually on Instagram, because Instagram can be very useful sometimes. A lot of it is absolute shit, but a lot of it can be very useful. Lots of good educational content on there, and I still learn from it. So I would, as long as you're following the right people, you can learn a lot from it. And anyway, it came from this post I read about muscle growth, hypertrophy, and seeing as I like that sort of stuff. And it's very important for when it comes to getting into great shape and feeling better naked. You need to build muscle. So this is sort of on that subject. And it's on a particular subject, I suppose. Subject. Don't know if that's a thing or not, but time under tension. So TUT. I don't know if you've heard of TUT or time under tension, but I'm going to delve into that a little bit, because time under tension, it can be a confusing thing. Essentially, time under tension is the amount of time a muscle is under tension for during a rep and or a set. Muscle is when one lifts load in the gym, whether it's a cable or a dumbbell or a barbell or a machine, the muscles need to come under some sort of tension for that load to be moved from A to B, right? So when muscles are engaged, they have tension on them. So time under tension is like I said, the amount of time tension is on a particular muscle group during a rep and or set. So I want to sort of go into whether or not TUT, time under tension, is needed for muscle growth. So, or, is longer time under tension, does it mean better or more muscle growth or not? And I did a poll on this on my Instagram. I don't know if you saw it, but most people said yes, it's needed. It's beneficial for more muscle growth, and I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail. So, the answer is essentially it depends. Like everything we talk about in this industry, the answer is 90% of the time, the answer starts with it depends. But obviously, if you're a good coach, you need to explain why it depends, or it depends on what. So I'm going to do my best now to try and explain what it depends on. So you've probably heard a lot about slow reps or slower reps being great for muscle growth. But here's the thing, not all slow reps are created equal. So there are sort of two types. There are controlled slow reps where you deliberately move the weight slowly, and there are unconditionally slow reps where you're moving slow because your muscles are so fatigued that you can't go any faster. The last one, the unconditionally slow reps, that's where you want to get to with all working sets in the gym. It's called essentially technical failure or task failure. So you're trying to move the weight fast, but they're moving slow. This is why people say slower reps are best for muscle growth, because in this sense they are, because you're moving the weight or you're moving slowly because your muscles are literally completely fatigued. There's nothing left to give. So unconditionally slow reps is what you want. When you're trying to move the weights fast, but your muscles are so fatigued that you can't go any faster. So there's a lot of confusion around time under tension and rep tempo, especially when it comes to muscle building. The popular belief is that slowing down your reps and extending the time your muscles are under tension leads to more muscle growth. And yes, there is some truth to this, but it's only part of the picture. It all comes down to tension, like I said specifically. The kind of tension your muscles experience as you approach the end of a set, so near technical failure. And it's at the end of the set is where the magic happens for muscle growth. When your muscles are pushed close to failure, the body is forced to adapt to that tension and grow bigger and grow stronger. So your muscles can essentially deal with that level of tension again. That's all it's doing. So your muscles are being put under huge amounts of tension and stress. Your muscles adapt to that stress so it can handle it again, and then you put it under more stress the next time, so adding more reps or adding more load, and that's what's called progressive overload. And I'll go into that in a bit more in a second. So the body is forced to adapt, right? Regardless of how fast or slow you've been moving the load. TUT is simply the total amount of time your muscles are under load during a set, like I mentioned before. Some people think that more TUT means more growth, but it's not really that simple. The speed at which you move each rep, the tempo, will obviously affect how many reps you could do in the total time under tension, but not necessarily the results, if that makes sense. So let's say you're doing fast reps in the gym. You're moving the load quickly. You can get more reps out, right? Because you're moving the weight fast. You can get more reps with less time under tension per rep. If you are slowing down the reps, you're moving slower. You're moving the weight slower. This will increase the time under tension for each rep, but you end up doing fewer reps overall, right? So if let's say you're two people in the gym, exact same. Let's say you're identical twins, right? In the gym, they're exactly the same strength, both doing dumbbell bench press. They both have the exact same load. They both have 25 kilos each. One of them is doing fast reps. One of them is doing slow reps. The one who is doing fast reps will be able to get more reps out than the guy who is doing slow reps, right? The guy doing fast reps, here's another way of thinking about it. If we both get them to do 12 reps, the guy doing fast reps will get to 12. with less time under tension, the guy doing slow reps may not even get to 12 because he'll be so fatigued. He may get to 6, 7, 8 reps until his muscles fatigue because he's been doing slow reps. But the guy doing slow reps will get to failure just because he's been doing slow reps. So it's not the slow reps that's causing the growth. It's the fact he's getting to failure, which is causing the growth. So this is why saying things like do 12 reps on this particular set isn't always the best thing to do, because if someone does them quick and they get to 12 reps, they may need another 6, 7, 8 reps until they reach failure, right? But the guy doing slow reps may get to 7 reps and reach failure. So just because he can't do 12 reps doesn't mean he's failed, yes, he's technically failed, but you know what I mean? So this is why when you do a set in the gym, you control the weight on the way down, you get a good stretch, and you push the weight away or up, or whatever weight you're doing or exercise you're doing, you lift the weight quickly. You do that until you reach failure, and then you write down how many reps you've done in that set. All right, I'm probably confusing you now, but it's not easy to explain. But I'll go into the sort of summary of it all at the end. But anyway, despite the two differences in time under tension and total reps, both of these approaches, like the fast reps and the slow reps, can lead to similar muscle growth results, as long as you're pushing the set to failure. All right, so this is why it doesn't really matter if you're going slow or fast. As long as you're taking your set close to or to failure, the amount of growth doesn't really change. So what does actually matter for muscle growth is the amount of mechanical tension on the muscle. So taking your sets to or close to failure. This is where you're really sort of challenging the muscles, and it sort of guarantees the best stimulus for growth. So, like I said, whether you're going fast or slow, your reps will naturally slow down as you get tired. And this is what really triggers hypertrophy or muscle growth. So I wouldn't worry too much about time under tension, taking them slow or taking them quick. Yes, you need to focus on technique and you need to have some sort of control over your reps, but it doesn't matter if one person takes 5 seconds to lower the weight over someone who's taking just 1 or 2 seconds, So to summarize, what's the sort of takeaway? So tempo doesn't really matter as much as you think. Fast or slow, both can lead to gains, right? Both can lead to muscle growth as long as you're pushing hard enough. Proximity to failure is absolutely key. So you should be aiming to take each set very close to failure, around 1 to 2 reps before failure, regardless of how fast you're moving the weight. All right. Although longer time under tension doesn't matter in terms of muscle growth, it has great benefits for someone who is a beginner in the gym, when they're trying to learn proper form, when they're learning how to move load from A to B effectively, and they're trying to, build up some tolerance of stress, I suppose, and sort of movement under load. So if you're a beginner in the gym, if you're quite new to the gym, yes, longer time under tension, especially during the eccentric or lowering phase of a rep, is or can be very important. But for muscle growth, for hypertrophy, it's not necessarily better than any other speed. All right, so I guess the bottom line is sort of pick a rep a repetition tempo that feels natural, it feels normal for you, it feels good. Focus on controlling the eccentric part of the lift, so the lowering phase, and prioritize progressive overload. So prioritize taking the set close to failure and increasing reps and or load over time. Don't get too caught up in TUT or time under tension, because what matters is consistently challenging your muscles and getting stronger, improving gradually over time. That's the most important thing. All right, so yeah, a bit of a longer one today, but I thought that was, or thought it would be quite important or quite good to talk about, because I think it can be quite confusing. Hope I haven't confused you even further. But yeah, hope that all makes sense. Any questions, as always, let me know. And if you have any questions about coaching, let me know as well. Instagram, email, whatever you want, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But have a great one. Have a good day. Have a good rest of the week. And yeah, thanks for listening as always.